So, what exactly is diversity? When we talk about diversity, at least in the mainstream media nowadays, we talk about different representations of people in the world, from simple things like skin color representations, like different characters in terms of fat characters, characters with a particular sexual orientation, and that's pretty much where diversity is right now. I can't say that I completely like this take of diversity, even though it does make certain stories interesting. The problem with diversity that I see now in manga and in anime and pretty much in media, even comic books, especially coming from like Marvel and a bit from DC, diversity hasn't necessarily become something that good, in my opinion. It's become something that between being creative and creating a checklist for yourself so you could seem more diverse, which isn't really diversity. For example, your character is going to be a girl who's black with some type of birth defect. She's short and she wants to do something that normal girls nowadays don't necessarily go after in terms of like occupation. In this case, an engineer maybe. And this sense of diversity in manga is, even though I understand where it's coming from, it's quite interesting because even though it's still a big thing here in the States, it hasn't really reached Japan. You know, Japan, they don't really care. They just do whatever the hell they want to do. Whatever they think makes money. Even most of the creators, like the mangakas and all that stuff, most of their characters are white. You could look at one of the more popular mangas out right now, and animes too. For example, Boku no Hero Academia, one of my more new favorite mangas that come out from shonen. In Boku no Hero, there are African descent characters in there, like black characters, but they're not a major staple in character designing. Most of the characters are traditionally Asian, white, I guess you could say. They don't really care, you know? Diversity has become, here in the States at least, more like a checklist. You want characters to be more diverse, so you create a checklist for yourself. And in this case, a company that you guys heard about a lot, maybe or maybe not, Saturday AM, small company. They've grown quite a bit, and their selling point in their company is diversity. You know, revolution in manga and all that stuff, which for the most part is cool and all. But it's something that I've noticed in many of their new mangas that they're coming out, many of their new stories and books that they are trying to create. This idea of diversity is a staple in their company. But the problem is that their sense of diversity, I believe, is forming into like a checklist. And unfortunately, I don't really see that as a good way of being diverse, or at least especially in terms of character designing and story writing. When you create a character, you want him to be relatable to people. You could look at all the famous characters like Spider-Man that's come out. He isn't he's relatable because of who he is. He grew up as a nerd. He was pretty much picked on, a bully. He was bullied all his life. People could connect with that because those are real problems that we all face. It doesn't matter your skin color or whatever. Those are real problems that we all face. Life problems, relationship problems, economic problems. And those are the things that make a character solid. It doesn't matter their race or whatever. That shouldn't even be like a big reason for the character's existence. And then I look back, you look at Saturday AM, a story, for example, one of their big stories that came out, which for the most part is an actually interesting and very fun to read. It's called Clock Striker. It's one of their stories on Saturday AM, one of their popular stories that came out. Pretty much about a girl who's black. Her character is black, a girl with a birth defect. And if you look at promotional stuff on their Facebook page, I would suggest everybody check out their Facebook page just so you can see that I'm not talking out of my ass. But it's literally all about she's black. She's a black female manga character. And it's like that's pretty much their only selling point. And then you start reading the book itself. Problem with their characters is that they're not relatable. Their characters can't relate. Their only good feature is pretty much the fact that they're diverse, and that's it. And this type of storytelling, this type of character designing, character progression even, to me isn't good. If you want a character that's gonna last the test of time, that's going to be a seller, you have to be able to create a character who's relatable. And if you can't do that, you've pretty much lost the game. And that's pretty much it. They've changed their entire submission and all that stuff. So it's one of those things. They're still a company, and I do still suggest, if you guys create manga and you want somewhere to pretty much showcase your work, Saturday AM is a great place to go. Now, you just got to understand their way of like looking at story may not be how you look at story, and sometimes to play their type of game, you got to play ball with them. That's the only real way to really get them interested in you. But in the end, if you're trying to create a relatable character, you have to look beyond skin color and realize that there are things that everybody goes through, everybody shares, and you just got to get those ideas, be it economic, be it social issues, be it anything like that, and connect it with your reader. And just look at great examples like Naruto, Hero Academia, like I said before, even Spider-Man. If you look at stuff here, Spider-Man is a perfect example of how the writers mix social issues, economic issues, and you can relate to that character. A character that's been more than 60 years in the making. It's literally more than 60 years old, Spider-Man is. He's still relatable even till this day. Look at how these characters relate to you and just try to think about that instead of trying to create a character who's just following the diversity checklist. So if you guys liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more. And I'll see you on the next State of Manga video and update.